people have grown into a very comfort level in their Christianity because we've made it palatable for first-time hearers of the gospel.
Yeah.
But Paul would line out in Ephesians that I give you all of these gifts, the apostles, the prophets, the teachers, the evangelists, the preachers, the shepherds. I give you those to equip the saints for the work of the ministry and the building up of God's house. And so it's not that you're not reaching for the lost, but I think people are hungry to be equipped.
Hey, I want to welcome you today to this episode of the God Seeker Podcast. I'm Joe Martin Jr., and my guest today and my friend, Joe Pringle. Pastor Joe is the co-founder and the senior pastor of C3OC in Orange County, California. And Joseph, we are glad that you're here. This week you're here for our, what we call our Presence Conference. And so every year for the last 30 years we've been doing this. So this is the 31st year. And so we're thrilled to have you here. You're going to be leading worship for us. You're going to be ministering in the Word. And so we're real thrilled that you're here.
I'm so stoked to be here. I love this church, and it's funny, we've been visiting this. I remember coming here as a kid, going up to Rockwall and being around there and coming back and forth. And, you know, for me also, now an American, previously an Australian.
That's right.
Whenever I come to Texas, I'm like, I'm real American
American,
right now.
That's right.
Real America. And it fills me up with the gusto to continue on my missions trip in that great state of California.
That's right. What could be?
What could be? What could be?
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you here. Also, you need to know that you're married to Christine.
Yes.
You and Christine have a daughter, Charlie.
Yeah. Christine married me. She made the choice to step down and lowly in her position to marry me. We have a beautiful 6-year-old daughter, Charlie. We just acquired our second puppy of the house. We have Charlie, and we have a blocky-headed white English white Labrador called Cash. After Johnny Cash.
I love that.
One of my heroes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You know, Joe, I'm thrilled that you're here. We've been thinking about this for quite a while, and now that we got you in town, just have this moment where we can do this together. And there's so many ways that we could go. There's so many dimensions to your history, to your life then, your life now.
Yeah.
You know, but I just want to catch everybody up to context-wise is that you're the youngest, aren't you the youngest child?
Yeah.
Phil and Chris Pringle.
Baby child.
Yeah.
Right here.
And they're the founders, of course, of C3 Global churches all over the world. We got over 600 churches now. And so you grew up as a PK.
Yes.
And not just any PK. I mean, you grew up with a dad and mom of traveling the world and planting churches and doing things all over the world. And they're not really celebrity pastors, but they were sort of celebrities.
Sure.
In terms of, you know, your family, I'm sure. And so that had its pros, I'm sure, with you, had its cons with you. And so that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Because I think, you know, this venue, this moment is really about, as I told you earlier, you know, it's like when you go to a coffee shop, you sit down and the people next to you are having a very interesting conversation. You want to lean in and hear it. And lots of people see you. You know, you've led worship for a long time. You've preached, you've ministered, but they don't really know all the backstory.
Sure.
And so you're born and raised in Australia, and now you're a U.S. citizen. And living in California. Yeah. And but a Texan at heart.
Yeah, truly.
And here you are in Texas with us, which we hope will be your home away from home.
Yeah. Well, growing up was, I guess, kind of starting at the beginning, and I feel honored to think that my conversation would be, exciting enough to lean in and listen. But yeah, we grew up in Sydney, and I believe the church was planted in 1981.
That's right.
So I was born in 83, just a couple of years after Mum and Dad's second attempt at planting a church in Sydney, because they had come out previously and it had failed, and they went back to New Zealand with tails between their legs and Dad worked in an abattoir, and he worked as a postman, which could have been a prophetic job for the life to come, delivering good news. But so they come back and they planned the church. They started a surf club in DY Beach.
Which orient us where that is exactly.
What's that?
Orient us to where that is exactly.
Yeah, so Sydney, just about 40 minutes north of Sydney, there's a place called the Northern Beaches. Idyllic area, beautiful beaches.
Is that where Manly Beach is?
Manly
and all those
Beach.
Beaches? Yeah.
All the way up to Palm Beach. Mm-hmm. There is, I don't know how many miles that is, but it's a slew of beautiful beaches. And so Mum and Dad came to Sydney, planted in DY, which is kind of close to Manly. And they started in a surf club, and they were like surfers popping their heads in, still dripping wet, going, what the heck is this? They come in, and it's like a concrete stinky floor where they, stored all the rowing boats. And before long, it started growing, and then they met in a industrial building in Thuparé, and it kind of exploded. And somewhere along that journey, I was born. Mm-hmm. And there's 9 years between me and my brother, 11 years between me and my sister. And I was born in November, so I kind of put it down. I was a Valentine's baby.
Yeah.
It was a moment of passion.
Yes.
And the result was this larrikin.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I came into their world a little later. And
so you were almost an only child.
Almost an only child.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Think about it.
And so growing up in my early years, it was fun and crazy. My earliest memories, and I'll say this, of church and things like that, but honestly, the memories that stick with me to this day, and something that I just want to multiply over and over, in our church, it was like Sunday nights, Friday nights, Saturday afternoons, whatever it was. And there was a crew of people over at our house, and it was Van Morrison or Rolling Stones was playing. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just Darlene Check, or it was this music, this soundtrack, and then laughter. And I could hear, Greg French and Mark Saundercock and the Kelseys and Mum and Dad, and they were like wrestling, throwing each other in the pool. Mm-hmm. And there was this joyous thing that it wasn't like, these are the people we do work with, and then we live in solitude. Mm-hmm. But these are the people that we are committed to in living our lives together with and having fun. Yeah. And so I grew up in that, and it was awesome. I'll say that, my parents traveled a lot in the early years. My mom less so, but dad was gone a lot, and that was difficult for my young brain to kind of comprehend. And
what kind of issues did that spawn? Did he miss your sporting events? Are there things that stick in your mind of thinking, that was...
Yeah. I can't fault him for, in any which way, right. And in later years, I look back on these moments, and I'm just so grateful it wasn't just for money. It wasn't for money. It wasn't to build a business. And coming into my later years with a fresh revelation and a fresh faith, understanding that, man, I'm so glad that my father sacrificed so much for something so important. And so looking back, it's a different perspective. But, growing up, I think it was just tough. My dad was not around as much, and I it's not cry me a river kind of story.
No.
Just the yearning of a son to know a father. And I think in that position too, he became a father to many. Mm-hmm. And the burden of not just planning a church, but also birthing a movement, the pressures that would be sitting on him. And so, sometimes being present but not present. Mm-hmm.
And also because I know this has happened with my kids too, they're seeing you as the father spending time with other people, but not having as much time, or at least what you perceive as much time for you. I know my kids felt that way.
Yeah.
And I don't suppose that's not an uncommon feeling. I think it's kind of common, with people that do what we do.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I think it's important for ministers to know. And like I said, I can't fault my father for this. I have seen my father is my hero, and I get teary in this because as we'll get into many years, I kind of spent time shutting both of them out of my life. But I've seen him act as the best of a man can, the best character, the best attitude in the worst of times. Mm-hmm. When every occasion, when every opportunity was pointing to blow up, be angry, dismiss them, backstab them, he's always acted in the highest form of integrity. So I always witnessed that as well. And, I'm a bit of a firecracker. So to me, I'm like, no, let's go beat him up. Let's get a shovel. How deep does the hole have to be? And he is just such a grace-filled man and one of supreme integrity. And in a day and age where we have a lot of fathers who we're discovering have had secret lives, have not lived so as integrously, I paint that as the highest quality upon my father, an attribute that, though he had many sons, I was the son in the house, in his own house, that got to see in so many different scenarios him acting in those ways. But yeah, there were points of pain, and there were points of grieving, or maybe not the touch point that I needed to ask the questions I wanted to know the answers to. And so, yeah, from that early age, there was that side of it. Church did feel like a requirement. It wasn't so much a joy in my life, because I'd grown up in it. You kind of grow up in it. This is Texas. Everyone's a Christian. Yeah. And so you kind of grow up in it, and there's religious duty involved, and obedience without willingness just ends up being duty. And we don't learn the willingness because it's just culture. It's just, this is what we do. And so the heart isn't so much, in it. And, when it came to my teenage years, and I had encountered sexual abuse at a young age, and I didn't talk about that until I was 32. Wow. Believe it or not. Yeah. There was no desire for me to talk about it. Yeah. And
it's wild how you can lock some of those things up and close the door on it and think nobody ever has to know. Yeah. I'm moving on from this. That I'm letting this go. But if you don't expose it to the light, it just builds, doesn't it?
Yes. I always take it like what you're saying. I think Genesis 1 is key in that. It says that there was a formless mass. There wasn't any light. The Spirit was hovering over the surface. But when he spoke light, which was the first words spoken, there was light. And then he started creatively working on the world. He started forming expanses in the sky and the expanse down below. And he started separating the waters and creating land, and then put fish and trees, and he started making it this beautiful world. And I think that's what I encountered. I had a formless mass, and things left in the dark grow mold, they grow fungus, and it's never a secret that is hidden and dispersed. Yeah, I don't believe in the saying time heals all wounds. That's right. I think time numbs the wound, but it certainly doesn't heal it. That's right. It has to be exposed, like what you're saying. And so I didn't know how to expose it without feeling so shameful or guilty or disgusted with myself.
Can you talk about it now? Just for me, I was involved in some things that I had suppressed. But as the Lord healed me from that, because I did get it out, did talk to other people about it, then it became, when I would share about it, it became like it was disassociated from me. It's like I'm telling somebody else's story.
Yes.
I remember the sights, the sounds, the smells, everything about it, but it just doesn't feel like me.
Yes.
It feels like I'm, and I attribute that to be that when you're born again, you're a new creature, a new creation. Yes. The old things pass away. So that was part of the old me.
That's awesome.
And this is part of the new creation that I've become.
Yes.
That, at least that's how it fell out for me.
100%. Well, that is the redemption story. So God doesn't take away the memory of trauma, but he replaces the sting of it.
Yeah.
He redeems that portion of it. And it goes back to things like when Jesus held the lame man, he said, pick up your mat and walk. Why pick up your mat? Why not just leave it? That's your old portion of life. Well, now it's a story of this mat doesn't hold me, I hold it. And I need everyone to see that God liberates. So my mat is my testimony. And there was always, there's like caution in revealing so much about your life. But every time I've had the opportunity to share on that, it's incredible how many people have been touched by that particular one, or even the particular stories in your own life.
That's right.
That we just write off as like, oh, it's not that common. Abortion, or it's not that big of a deal. The sexual abuse is not. But man, when you start sharing those things, and you realize, wow, people have journeyed and hidden these things for so long. The amount of people that would come up and say, thank you for sharing that. I've never spoken on this. I've never revealed this. And I can't believe that God could heal me from this.
Yeah.
And it's true. Just like in Ephesians. It says, put off the old self.
Man,
Put on the new self. And so I didn't know how to deal with it at 12 years old.
Right.
When I started realizing, obviously in sexual abuse, your sexuality is opened at too early of an age to actually understand. You come to an age where you're like, I'm attracted to this, and this is what happens, and it sets a confusion and a shame train in life. And so
you carried that for 20 years.
Oh yeah, 30. For 20 something years. Yeah. But what I did discover is that in my teenage years, that alcohol, that drugs, numbed it really well. And I couldn't believe that you could feel good, and you didn't feel that anymore. And so in early years, I remember taking ecstasy at a young age and being like, I want to feel like this all the time.
Yeah.
Like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And so there was some years of that teenage investigation and that teenage rebellion that was in me. And I remember when I was around 16, there were a few friends that committed suicide, and my granddad passed away around the same time. My granddad was my hero. And there was some pertinent markings on my life at that moment, like life needs to have more meaning than this. And
those things happen. It's like a ship being cut away from its moorings. You know, it's just, you're out.
Yep.
In the open sea.
Just floating
around. That's right.
Floating around, no grounding, no anchor.
That's right.
And the hope is so temporary because, I can speak into the later years where it got very extreme, but, you're expecting out of counterfeits something that only God can bring.
Yeah.
And it's a revolving, cyclical lie that continues and builds on itself. into infinitum, you know. And so I did make changes at that point. And I really surrendered a lot of portions of my life to God. And I discovered worship in that time. And began writing. The first song I wrote was about one of my friends who had taken his own life, a song called Stay. And it felt very natural. It felt therapeutic. Felt like a release in a way, and I felt God in those moments. And so I continued just writing music, and it turned into worship. And I had a few different bands and iterations and such, and ended up getting heavily involved with worship at the church. And I went on staff at the church, and I was the warehouse guy. I was packing boxes. I did not. Australia is not. It doesn't run on. You're the son of the guy at the top. So you've got all the favor. My dad did none of that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, he kept you from being the tall poppy.
100%. Yeah, which is a big thing in Australia.
Right.
Tall poppy, I want to cut you down.
That's right.
And so he really set work in my life, and I was doing Bible college. I worked in like I said, the warehouse, and then I helped do video production, the video announcements, and I was doing some worship stuff, and eventually was full-time in worship, in helping, write songs at that point, which would go across the movement and produce records.
I'm just curious about this. Was there a sense at that time that C3 Church was something very unique and exceptional? Or did you just feel like you're part of a movement sort of that God was doing? How did that come down?
Yeah, I think, because that was all within, so there was different stages. There was the beach club, there was a church in between. It was like a Catholic or Anglican church. And then there was Thupere, which was this industrial place. And that was like a move of the Holy Spirit. And I can remember portions of that. I was very young. Then we moved into another warehouse called Brookvale. And that is where, the church experienced the river. That move of God went through that place. And it was insane. Yeah. It was insanity. But it was so genuine. You can see people running in those modes, but I do believe God moves on, and I think one of the adherences to a new move of God is people who won't let go to the old.
That's right.
But in that time, man, it was incredible. We had Rodney Howard-Brown come through, and he would run, 7-hour meetings, and it felt like it was done like this.
Wow.
And it was incredible. The healings, the salvations, and at that point there had been the previous vision of planning a church in every major city, or 5 major cities, 7 major cities. And that just happened like that. And then and Dad would be better to speak to on this, but he would say that God tricked him into it being a movement. Yeah. And there's like those little scenarios. It wasn't like, we're going to be the biggest movement in the world. Yeah. And God led Dad very gracefully the way he needed to be led at that time. And so at that point, it was a change in Oxford Falls. And we were doing these worship records in the Brookvale warehouse, which were so anti what the church was supposed to do. Yeah. Electric keyboards, electric guitars. Yeah. It was I don't like to use the word, but progressive in that field of worship at that time. And C3 and Hillsong did incredible things thereafter in worship. But C3 really paved the way in those initial years of putting out records like War. And my mum was leading worship, and there was Chris Folson and Dave Holmes and Jeff Crabtree and this incredible move. And those songs went around the world. I'll walk by faith. I see the Lord, fear not, binding the strong man. And that kind of expanded the influence, I would say. God was using that worship to expand that influence around the world. And so by the time, I was, 19 and helping in worship and stuff, there was, different phases of that worship. And this was kind of ushering in a new phase of the worship of C3 at that point.
Yeah.
And it was remarkable. It was deep revelation. It was learning that I'm not here to write a good song. I'm here to interpret the prophetic side of the church and become really aligned with the vision. Sometimes we think worship is just about filling the first 30 minutes, writing a good song. We need a praise song, we need a mid song, and we need like really powerful worship song. So go and write that. But I just think it comes out of deep revelation, and there is a prophetic line in worship. And so if you want to know where a church is going, listen to the worship they're writing. And I believe it's also an interpretation of what's on the pastor's heart. That we need to be in line as songwriters with the vision that the pastor has as well. And steward that in worship. Steward our own relationship with God first. Receive and lay that out. And all the other stuff just it comes after. But we really did that. And I don't know how many records I was a part of, producing and writing and pushing out there, but maybe 15, 16, 17 through our youth and different churches and things like that.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
When I think back to those days, there was something. It's like your dad and mom are New Zealanders. Yeah.
I'm Australian.
Yeah, exactly.
First, well, I'm American now.
Yeah, so, that's right.
Yeah.
And so were the Hillsong guys.
Yep.
They were from New Zealand.
Yep.
And there was another group of church planters in Australia that began in New Zealand.
Okay. Yeah.
But it seemed like whatever happened in New Zealand was the training ground for what went on in Australia.
Yes.
And today in the U.S., you think that there's a lot of mega churches that are being pastored by Australians.
By Australians, yeah.
There's something that happened way back in the roots of you guys. Do you have any idea what that was? I mean,
well, here's what I can take it back to. Okay, so there was a tent revival meeting. I can't remember where it is, and forgive me because it minimizes the point I'm trying to make. But there was a tent revival meeting, and there were two kids that walked into that meeting, and they couldn't find a seat, so they were just going to leave. And there was an usher who pulled them aside and said, "Don't worry, I'm going to find you a place to seat. Come with me." And they sat down. And the kid that got saved in that meeting was Billy Graham. Billy Graham went on. Obviously, we all know who he is. Billy Graham visits New Zealand and holds a meeting where he, at that point, had begun partnering with churches. And a young man walks into that meeting, Dennis Martin, and gives his life to Christ. He goes and plants a church. My parents walk into that church experiencing demonic activity in their world. They were involved with, astral traveling and dropping acid. They were the Jesus Revolution pre. Yeah. Going to India to beat, the Beatles guru and find, the essence of life. And so they come to church and get radically saved. And Dennis Martin catches the revelation, same as Chuck Smith and these guys early on. Like, we need to create a place for these people. These people love Jesus, and he's ushering something in. And so mom and dad walk into there, and they would make a joke. The youth leader was 92 years old. Like, it was an elderly church. But they loved and cared for them.
Yeah.
And I think looking at these little things that as God began to move, and I can speak about it from that position, it goes all the way back. This usher stopping these two kids from walking out, him going to New Zealand, and Dennis Barton giving his life to Christ, him starting a church, and then all of these young guys coming in, and then Dad coming out of that, holding meetings in their house, these prayer rooms, and there were heroin addicts, so many of them getting set free, that the Hells Angels got angry and they came to storm their house, and some of them got saved, and then they went away, and the leader comes back, popcorn, at 3 a.m. in the morning, and bursts through the front door, bursts in, and he goes, whatever you did for the other guys, I want you to do for me. They prayed for him. Popcorn's still saved today, running around ministering in New Zealand. And I just think there was this, a move of God is the softening of hearts that are turning towards him, and openness to the gospel. And I just think there was something happening in New Zealand and in Australia at that point that was, it was like God put seeds in those people.
And there's some issue really about the fullness of time, something in the fullness of time. You know, we had, of course, the Jesus movement here in the 70s, late 60s or early 70s, and then we had the prophetic movement, you know, in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And there were lots of, you know, supernatural activity, lots of things happening. But since about 97, 98, it's been pretty dry in the U.S. It's not that the churches have dried up, it's just that we've been marking time.
Yeah.
And there's a sense that I have that we are coming to the fullness of time.
Yeah.
That there's a moment coming where this thing is going to begin. It's like I said today, you know, look, we prepared the table, we've prepared the venue, we've prepared our hearts, we've prepared the music, the services. The only ingredient we can't prepare is God. So God, we need you.
Yeah.
And that really is the prophetic story, I think, of most of the churches in America since the 90s.
Yeah.
And I think that's one reason you see the fallout of so many strong leaders falling, because they've just been marking time.
Yeah.
And the expectation becomes greater and greater and greater upon them that they can't handle the pressure. And they get off into sex or steal money or heresy or whatever. And so I'm thinking and I'm believing that we are at the forefront of a move of God.
It's my deepest desire to be a part of that. I don't care if it comes through our church.
I just don't want to miss it.
I don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
That is the most important element, is that there is just hungry hearts. And if I can speak plainly to what I feel like is the vision in my heart, is that, and you can look at a bit of church history, modern church history, looking back, there was the movement and the growth of what I would say within that fivefold ministry. You got the apostles, the prophets, the teachers, and the evangelism side was one that really expanded at the time. We have to reach the lost. And it's incredible. And I'm not even really speaking against this side, but what I do think is that people have grown into a very comfort level in their Christianity because we've made it palatable for first-time hearers of the gospel. But Paul would line out in Ephesians that I give you all of these gifts: the apostles, the prophets, the teachers, the evangelists, the preachers, the shepherds. I give you those to equip the saints for the work of the ministry and the building up of God's house. And so it's not that you're not reaching for the lost, but I think people are hungry to be equipped, equipped with truth, equipped with, we're talking a little bit about it before with someone, is that there's something that is brewing up that is hard, and I don't want to be like hardline Christianity, but hardline, like I want the truth and I want to run with that. I want to live my life with the narrow path in front of me. And I think we see that move coming up, that truth is, we're so thirsty for truth, we're so hungry for truth. Like what you say, table is prepared.
You and Christine are planning a church, and I say are planning. You have planted a church.
Yeah.
In Orange County.
In the process, still.
Now, it's not like Orange County's pagan. I mean, some of the biggest and best churches in the world are in Orange County, right? I mean,
Saddleback,
Mariners. I mean, these are massive churches with massive influence. What kind of people are drawn to C3OC? Yeah. What kind of people are you seeing that are actually coming in, and why are they coming to church? Why aren't they going to Mariners? Why aren't they going to Saddleback?
The people that we see walk through the door, it's a wide variety. I think church hurt, has been this kind of buzzword, and I think that there's two sides to it. I think there are leaders who get into church because it's kind of like a business or an industry, and end up using people instead of setting up the church.
Instead of building them.
That's right. And so there are people that are hurt on that side, and then there are people with wrong expectations as to what church is. God is a genie, and all my dreams and desires are going to come true, and I've got Jesus in my life, so life is now so easy. And so they have an offense because someone tries to disciple and they touch on something, but the character hasn't been built to sustain them thereafter. So we see people coming in with church. I was just reading a review. It's funny that you can, leave reviews on, I thought it's just for restaurants. It's for something else, but you leave reviews. And I was just reading one before about a young girl who came in, and she mentions, church hurt, and it took me a while to trust the church again, but the genuine love, heart, relationship, and the absence of softening things, but leaning into what truth is. Because I think we separate truth and love, which Paul does in a way, but I can't really love you without being honest. And I can't just be honest in your life without loving you. And so we see people that have come from that side. We see a lot of people who are hungry for growth in their life, who actually want discipleship and want to grow in their faith. And I would also say that, and I don't think that this is rule of law. When the church gets bigger, community gets less. I think you have to be super intentional to almost, this could sound contrary to even what I'm saying, but keep your church small as you grow big. That there are still these very personable touch points. And I don't think it's something you've got to sacrifice.
Yeah, and I think you just have to change your mentality about it, because church growth up until now has been very vertical. So we want to build with the people that we got. We want it to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But if you think about horizontal church growth, we want to plant congregations of 500, 600 all over town rather than having a main building with 6,000 people in it. Why not have 6 buildings with 1,000 each that they're reaching, or 12 buildings that are 12 places that do 500.
Right.
That way you're giving more people an opportunity to lead. More people an opportunity to make disciples, to express their gift. Because on Sunday morning, the most gifted people on the planet, most of them are sitting in the audience listening. When they really...
That's so good.
When they're really capable of, and maybe even called to, leading, preaching themselves.
And that boils down to a secure leader. It boils down to, I think in different areas in the world, people can look at pastor as king, as almost God, the element of God in the church, and it can become really controlling at that point. And I've obviously, with my dad, just a very secure, very strong leader. but not harsh. And so being able to see security within him, which is releasing people and just being like, I want you to be better than me. And that comes with a secure leadership. And you see that, we see that in our churches, people rising up. And it's such a joy when you see people living within what God has called them to do. And my prayer is, man, do it better than me. Because I'm still learning. So just do it all better than me. And that's a great joy within my heart. So we see people coming from all over. There was two visions that I felt God revealed to me before moving down. One was there were trenches all through Orange County, all of these trenches, and it was dead man's land in between. It just looked like a war zone. And a river was released from the north, and it came flooding down, and it turned all of these trenches into rivers, to riverbeds. And out of the trenches crawled all these skeletons, and they started forming, flesh and bone, and were alive, made alive again. And in between, on no man's land, all this beautiful trees and gardens started to grow. And I felt God say that which was used for war previously, and there's been war in the hearts of men, war against churches fighting each other and pillaging one another's leaders and going back and forth. There will be a river that runs through it, and there will be life that comes out of it. And then I saw God, he put a shovel in my hand, and he said to me, "You're a tool." And I was like, thanks. Because you're a tool kind of where I'm from means like, you're an idiot. You're just a tool. And he said, "You're a tool." And I said, "What do you mean?" And it took me back to the story of the buried talents. And the only good part of that story with the guy who buried his talent was he remembered where he buried it, and he went back and dug it up. And I felt God say, people have buried their talents in Orange County and they've left. So that where people had sowed, you will reap. That which you did not work for. And I'm giving you a shovel to dig up these old talents. And so even in this year process of planning there, we've just seen these restorations within people discovering things that they thought were dead, blessings that have been left behind for us in so many different ways. And it's an adventure, ups and downs, swings and roundabouts. But it's been incredible.
I think one of the things that you and Christine are so great at is that you create a community where everybody's welcome. You guys are such beautiful people. And I mean that very authentically and sincerely. It would be a little intimidating, but you're just the opposite. Right. You guys are very vulnerable, authentic, kind-hearted, servant-oriented. And people want community.
Yes.
It's very difficult to move into town, join a mega church, and find community. And so that's what we're seeing. Is people say, "Look, I've been going to XYZ church, I've been going here, been going there." We just never could connect with anybody. Even though I think those churches, mega churches, some of them are very intentional about creating space for that 100%. To happen, they still have a difficult time.
Yes.
But when they come in, one of the things that they're attracted to is that, look, I can actually go and touch my pastor. I can go and actually shake his hand, look in his eye. There's somebody here that actually is over my life.
100%. And I one of the things we've also encountered in this, and I know we're closing up here. We didn't get into the later part of the story, the gory details, but another time.
We'll do another one.
But one of the things that I feel like is a relearning in people too is community. I'm not sure people really understand what they're asking for when they say, "I want community." Because true community does not first ask, "What can I get out of this community?" It first asks, "What can I bring?" And you look at all values of community is an emphasis on what am I bringing to the community as opposed to what can I get out
That's
of
brilliant.
the community. And we've seen that challenge people in really great ways, that they are now, because the way of the kingdom is upside down.
Yeah.
You want a life, lay it down. You want to see success in this area, give it away. You want to see multiplication in your time or finances, invest it over here.
Yeah.
But that's not an investment. That's like, I'm losing it over there. I'm just
Spending it.
I'm spending it.
Yeah.
I'm spending it. And so we like what you say, we welcome anyone through the door, but we would also say, all are welcome, but we don't expect you to stay the same. Not by my voice, but man, by the Holy Spirit, who does the greatest job of pastoring and convicting people.
Yeah.
And bringing them to that subtle humility at first to an extreme one where they're laying down their lives. And we've just seen that happen in many ways, even in marriages. Orange County is one of the highest divorce rates per capita in the country. And see marriages restored, see marriages grow stronger, has been a prayer of ours from day dot. And so being able to see all of that happen is such a blessing into our lives, and knowing that we were there for a reason, because we had the same thought: why Orange County?
Yeah.
Why Orange County?
Yeah.
But we've seen God do pretty awesome things.
Yeah. It's amazing. Well, Pastor Joe, thank you for being with me today. Thank you for being part of this podcast. I do want to bring you back. I do want to hear the gory details. And get back.
That's where everyone loves.
Yeah, get back to that testimony. To see God's redemptive hand and what all He's done in your life is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know the whole story either, so I'm looking forward to making that happen at some point. So all of you that joined us today, thank you for joining us for this episode of the podcast, God Seeker Podcast. If this is something that you enjoyed and liked, I would love it if you could check like and maybe even subscribe, because this is the kind of content we'd like to bring on a regular basis to help you grow in your relationship with the Lord, to help you find the Lord, help you find that place that God really has for you. So thank you for joining us today. Joe, would you pray for us as we leave today, and pray for all those that will be listening down the line?
100%. Thank you, Jesus. We glorify your name right now. Thank you for everything you have done in our lives personally. Thank you for everything you are doing right now. Thank you for everything that you will complete tomorrow. Thank you, God, for this conversation. Let it sow seeds of righteousness in people's lives. Let people lift their eyes to see you in every circumstance. God, I thank you that in the midst of storms, there you are. The presence of a storm is not the absence of God, but in those times you are closest to us. I pray that you would make us strong through every test that we face. And God, I lift up prodigals right now, whether it's prodigal fathers and mothers, or sons and daughters, cousins, friends, far from your house. I thank you, Lord, that in the middle of a pigsty, there would be a realization that eating on our own, eating by our own flesh, running on our own fumes would bring humility and a softening in the hearts. I pray for faith in those who have prayed prayers for many years, that their prayers would be filled with hope.
Yeah.
And so, Father, right now we commit them into your hands, that you would soften their hearts and bring them close to you. Teach us to be disciples of you. Bless this conversation. Bless everyone who is tuned in. Open up their eyes, enlighten their hearts, fill them with the peace of God. In your mighty name.
Yes, Lord.
Amen.
Amen. God bless you, Pastor Joe.
God bless you.
Yeah, you and your family and all your church, and just pray God's richest and deepest revelation come upon you.
Thank you very much.
In Jesus' name. And thank you for joining us for this episode of the podcast. God bless you.
Love you guys.
Hey, thank you for joining us for this episode of the God Seeker Podcast. If this is something you enjoyed, we'd love it if you took a moment just to hit like and subscribe, maybe share it with a friend. But we want to produce the kind of content that inspires, encourages, and equips you in your walk with God. So until we see each other again, keep seeking God. God bless you.